Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel Tomcat Stitchery. I'm Whitney here with Stephanie. We have another Style with Stephanie episode and also Gidget who's decided to join us today. So this is our third video that we are kind of done together, and today we're going to be talking about 5 style myths, kind of
rumors,
yes,
vicious tales. Yes. Yeah.
And we're going to talk about why they are a rule or whatever, and then we're going to kind of debunk, or not we, Stephanie's going to debunk. I'm here to learn right along with you all. And then at the end, we are going to talk a little bit. We had some questions that came in on some of the subsequent videos that Stephanie is going to answer as well. So, and if you have any questions after this video, definitely put them in the comments below, and anything I can't answer, I'll send over to the expert here. So.
Happy to help in whatever way I can.
Yes, yes. And this is the first video that you've watched with Stephanie. Stephanie is a local stylist in my area, and we got together earlier this year and decided to I'm kind of on a style journey, tweaking my own style, and reached out to Stephanie and thought that this would be something good. Gidget's gonna exit.
Bye, Gidget.
Something good for all of you might kind of enjoy, because as seamstresses, we put a lot of time and effort into making our clothes, and we want it to work for us, and have that time well spent. So let's get into it.
Awesome.
Okay.
Excited.
Okay. All right. So the first thing that rule, myth, whatever we want to call it, is shapes to fit your body, as in not necessarily your body shape per se, but for, like short people can't wear wide leg pants,
yes.
Or, busty people can't wear turtlenecks, or whatever it might be.
Yeah. I hear these vicious lies all the time. And I think that I want to go back to something we talked about previously, and something I when I'm working with my private clients, we talk a lot about everybody you want to look your best because that's what makes you feel confident. And we know that our appearance or the clothes that we wear are a form of communication to the world. Sure. And so we want you to communicate whatever it is to the world. So we know Whitney wants to be seen as approachable and engaging and warm, and aside from the fact that she's smart and talented and all these other things. So, and fun. That was one of the things I remember, reaching back in my memory.
Yeah.
So creating an outfit is like creating a piece of art. And that sounds really fancy, except that what we're trying to do is create a silhouette. So when an artist is creating a painting, they're putting shapes together in a way that is pleasing to the eye. And what we know is that scientifically, the eye and the brain are always trying to create balance in whatever it sees. So when we're putting clothing on you or me or somebody else, we're really trying to create that balance. And these style myths that come in, things like shorter people can't wear wide leg pants, it's some sort of hard and fast rule that is supposed to apply to everyone. But the reality is everybody's body is different, and everybody's style goals are different. And that's why I don't love style rules, is because they're written for the masses, but you are an individual, and we want style to fit you and what your style goals are. So things like people with shorter legs can't wear wide leg pants. I hear this so many times from my petite clients, especially if my petite clients are on the curvier side, right? They feel very self-conscious about that. And my response is that I don't think that's true. The clue is that we want to create balance in what we see. So there is a rule that I try to follow, which is you don't want anything to cut your body off at the widest part. So if you're putting yourself in a capri pant, which capris are starting to come back, you want it to identify where that widest part of your calf is and not have that capri hit you there, because what that does is that's sort of disrupting the balance that we see. So you want that capri to come above that wider part or below that wider part, because just visually it creates that balance. Now, if you want to cut your leg in half at that widest part, girl, you do you.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to say you can't, because it's your style goal on what you want to show the world. But visually, we know that in creating that balance, cutting yourself off at the widest part disrupts that balance. Same thing when you cut a jacket across your hips. It's better visually if it doesn't hit that widest part, come above or below.
Unless you're wanting to make your hips look wider.
Correct.
Because it's something that I try to do because I'm larger busted.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. So in that way, you're trying to balance that part out, right?
Yeah.
So you're trying to create that different silhouette.
Uh-huh.
So absolutely. So the thing about, if you say like bigger busted people can't wear turtlenecks, I have a large bust. I love a good turtleneck. I love a good fitted shirt.
Yeah.
But it needs to fit in the right way. It needs to fit right. It needs to not look constraining or like you're wearing somebody else's shirt. It needs to look like you're wearing your own shirt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
It does. It does.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when we think about that balance, it's not that we want everyone to have an hourglass shape, but that silhouette of having the top part of your body and the bottom part of your body being somewhat equal with a diminution in the middle or going in a little bit in the middle just creates this visually pleasing line. It's just geometry, really, that we're looking at. It's just what the eye likes to see. Some science, some biology. It's not that that's necessarily like some beauty standard we're going after.
Yeah.
I don't want it to feel arbitrary and forced upon someone. It should be very much something that you feel comfortable in and that you feel like you can live in this silhouette.
Yes. Yeah.
That makes sense?
That makes absolute sense.
Okay,
I love that.
Thank you. Thank
This
you.
is why we invite Stephanie on.
Thank you.
Okay, number 2. This is, I think, going to be a big one. A big ticker. We ready
Buckle
for
up.
this?
Buckle up.
Yeah. Only winters can wear black.
False. Hard false. Hit the red button. Put the red X up there. Absolutely not. Anybody can wear black. Black is not a single color. Black is a name for a color, but black comes in, I forget, Pantone has like something like 43 different shades of black, right? So there are shades of black. So my secret to finding the best black for you is when we know what your best blue is, take the black and put it up against the blue and see if they go together. There are shades of black that's like a coal black that's like deep and dark and very cold. And then there are shades of black. There's actually a color called J. Crew black, which if you think about it, it's like washed out. It's worn. It was your older brother's jeans, or they were your jeans from the early aughts that you washed and kept in the back of your closet. So you immediately know that that's like a softer kind of like more gray black.
Muted black. Yeah.
Good. And then there are shades of light that are brown black or even like a purple black. There are different shades of black. I think we get into this trap of calling a color and just saying that it is a single thing when really there are lots of shades.
Yeah.
And so I think anybody can wear black. The clue is to find the shade that's best for you.
Yeah.
And once you do that, oh my gosh, your whole life opens up, because there are a lot of reasons. Should we talk about this? There are a lot of reasons women like black, right? And they're differ from women to women. Some women like black because it feels easy. It feels like they don't have to think about it. Some women like black because they feel like it is flattering to their skin tone. Some women like black because it feels like part of an outfit formula. Some women like black because they feel like it makes them look sophisticated and
powerful.
Even.
Yeah.
Some women like black because they feel like it allows them to sink back into the crowd and draw less attention to themselves. Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
The same color can make people feel 2 different ways.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of different reasons that women choose black. And whatever the reason you choose it is valid. I will say black is not your only option for those things.
Yeah.
Shades of purple can do the same thing. Shades of blues can do the same thing. But black is really easy to come by in the marketplace. So sometimes that's why people go for it. But finding that best shade of black feels so freeing and can really open up your wardrobe in really beautiful ways.
Yeah. That was maybe the one that when we were talking that I found the most interesting. And if you haven't seen the color analysis video that we did in June, you're going to want to go back because we talked about the color yellow in that video while she was doing the colors. So
yeah.
It's good stuff, folks. Okay, kind of going along with the first one, print sizes. I've had so many people ask me, how do you pick your print sizes? Because I'm petite and or I'm larger. Like, how do I, like, I'm tall with bigger bones. Like, the whole myth about the larger, if you're taller, you wear the bigger prints. Right. More petite, you wear the small prints.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's BS. Sorry. I think more than anything else, prints are trends, really.
Yeah.
It's if you're into like a cottage core, English cottage kind of feel, prairie, whatever, then those calico prints, those small prints are much more of a thing. If you're more bold and you like bold,
Farm Rio.
Oh, yeah, great example. Absolutely. And you want a bigger print. I don't care if you're 5 feet tall or 6 feet tall. You can wear what you want. It's more about the silhouette of the garment than it is about the size of the print. I think that makes a difference for people. I have seen very tall people wear very muted calico prints, and it can look fine if it's structured right on your body. Mm-hmm. And I say if it's structured right, it doesn't have to be a PhD type decision to decide.
Yeah.
If you love it, wear it.
Yeah.
Now, I do think it matters how the print is put on your body. I don't think you want 2 giant flowers on your flowers.
Which we know in the sewing community how that can go awry so quickly.
Right. So I think that is important.
Yes. Like, print placement, yes.
Print placement is important, sure. But I think that the size of the print is not as important as the silhouette of the garment.
Okay. So see, guys, I'm only 5'2", and you know that I love a big, bold print.
Right.
So in those rules, I should not be wearing big, bold prints, right. But it's my personality.
It is your personality, and you love bold colors,
yeah.
And you love bold prints.
Yeah.
And so it all goes together, right?
Yeah.
It tells that story. It goes back to, what do you want to communicate to the world? You want to communicate that you're bold and fun and approachable, and that's what that big, bold print does for you.
Yeah.
Skip the rules.
Agree. Throw them out the window.
Throw them out. Absolutely.
Throw them out the window.
Yeah.
Okay, now this kind of goes, in the 80s with the color analysis and stuff kind of became big. And then we had, Kibbe came in with your style profile. What happens if you are stuck in your style profile?
I see this all the time.
Yeah.
Women come to me and they're like, oh, I am whatever, a Kibbe natural. And so I know I can't wear X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, who told you that?
Yeah.
I mean, that is, and I promise I'm nicer than this in person. Sort of. But I mean, like,
you're passionate.
I think you should free yourself from those rules.
Yeah.
I think those rules were created in a book. Mm-hmm. They were not created for you. They were not created for Whitney. They were not created for Stephanie. They were not created for Susie. They were created by Mr. Kibbe sitting down and writing a book.
Yeah.
Right? And that is just that's not the real world. I think there's a basis in those in terms of like silhouette, color, maybe even that personality piece of it. It has some thread of truth, but it's not written in stone. So my advice is to take that and learn from it. But I mean, Moses did not chisel that into the tablet.
Right.
So you can break the rules. It's okay. You'll be fine.
Yeah.
So I think I think women so often are looking for the answer. They are looking for direction. And I think you do better to learn. And I do think those style profiles can teach you a little bit about yourself.
Sure.
But use them as inspiration and don't use them as a way to confine yourself. Use them as a starting point.
Yeah.
Does that help?
It really does. It really does. I think that's where I get stuck because I love a good rule. I love a good, these are, things to make life easier. That's why I love sewing in a color palette because it just makes it easier for me to fabric shop. I'm a big proponent of that. But you're right. You can easily get yourself stuck in a box if you're not careful.
You can, and then I've seen people get to the point that they almost can't make a decision because
Yeah.
they're like, I don't know if this follows the rules or not. And then I think a really important part of style is refining your palette, almost refining your eye, learning about yourself and understanding what you like. And if you're always deferring to what someone else has told you, you're not really growing in your own abilities.
Yeah.
And I always look at style, fashion, very much like cooking or very much like sewing.
Yeah.
It is a skill you can learn.
Yeah.
So if you come at it from the perspective of, I have no skill, I need someone else's rules, you're never going to grow that skill. And so you're kind of always going to be stuck in this your whole life. And that seems like a really lousy place to be.
Absolutely.
I would much rather you develop your own perspective, your own taste, educate yourself, watch videos, read books, touch fabrics, understand what you like, so that then you can take ownership of your style, and then you really start to bloom and grow and like have fun with it.
Yes.
And it should be fun.
Absolutely.
It should be.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okay, number 5 is kind of not so much a myth, but when we're talking about respect for all styles. So, and this could even go back to trends, like, oh, I don't like to do what's trendy because I look like I'm, 15 or whatever. What are your thoughts on that, on appreciating style versus deciding what works for you?
Yeah, I think it actually fits in with what we were talking about, developing your own eye. But
Yeah.
I think it's okay to say that style is okay for that woman. It's not what fuels me. And so we can appreciate each other's differences or each other's passions or each other's, whatever is the weird thing that you like. Maybe you like leggings with Smurfs on them. I don't know. They're not for me. I wouldn't put a client in that. But, if you love it, embrace it. So what I want people to do is to be able to look at something. We talk about this with color a lot, to say like, oh, but I love turquoise, but turquoise is not in my palette. Well, I always say, then make a throw pillow out of turquoise so you can look at it, but you're not wearing it, because in that case, what's happening is you love turquoise, but turquoise really doesn't love you back. So appreciate it for what it is, but understand that maybe it doesn't fit into your style closet. But likewise, your style and my style is a lot alike. But I have a very dear friend who's a stylist in the Philadelphia area. And this girl, man, she has 4-inch heels and like all of the dramatic high-end style things. She is a jacket and shorts going to the mall. I'm a little more laid back than that. I love that for her. Like, I want her to go be that dramatic person that she is, embrace that high style. I don't have to feel like I have to look like her. I don't have to compare myself to her. I can say what I do, my kind of little more laid back, softer fabrics, a little more natural is okay for me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of times there's some judgment evokes itself because we're comparing sometimes. And I think you have to let go of that comparison, which is super hard to do.
It is.
But when you do that, it makes it easy to step back and just say, that works for you. This works for me.
Absolutely.
Does that get to the nugget of it?
It does. I really love the people that can wear the real oversized, kind of the grandma chic, the coastal grandma like aesthetic.
Yeah.
Because I think that the oversized shirts and like with the baggier pants that are cut, I think that looks so good. I hate that on me because it overwhelms me too quickly. Like I can maybe do a little bit of an oversized shirt, but not too oversized, because then I look way bigger than I am, and then just proportionally. But yeah, being able to look at someone and say, that looks so good, I love their style, but you don't have to replicate it. Like you said, be like, good for you, that's fantastic, not my personal style. I think of this in terms of homes too.
Yeah.
Like, I love a mid-century modern home.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I love to see it when it's well done and walk through those type of homes. That is not something that would ever be comfortable for me to live in.
Right.
that's just not my personal style for a house, but I can appreciate it and love to see those sorts of things.
That coastal grandma thing, I tried to embrace that last year because I thought, I love linen, I love natural fabrics, I love things that are loose. And I went around in that for 3 or 4 days and I was like, I feel like I'm in my pajamas. I don't feel like I'm showing up for work, like I look like a professional.
Yeah.
And in some ways it made me feel like I just need to go lay down on the floor. I didn't feel productive. I was like, I don't think this is for me. So I kind of walked away from it. So when I tried it, because I thought it looks great, but then it was not for me. So.
Which is also important, to try things, even if you think maybe this isn't for me, but to try it, and then you can make a decision, like, this isn't for me or this is for me.
And I will say, I did not waste those pieces. I had some pieces like that already and then kind of repurposed them. And some of it is like, I'll hang on to this till we go to the beach.
Yes.
And then it'll be great. But in central Indiana, it's just not working for me.
Yes.
So, yeah. I looked like a character from a movie instead of like I was
Nancy Meyers movie.
I was not living my best life going through Whole Foods. No. So I think, try it out. But if it doesn't feel right, and I always do this because this is how I feel. Yeah. Like if it doesn't feel right, then say, bless and release.
Yeah.
Let it go.
Yeah. Great tips.
Thank you.
Okay, you have a style tip for us when it comes to makeup shopping.
Oh my gosh.
And this, Jenny thought, this blew Jenny's mind, like when you talked about this.
This can be life-changing.
Yes,
so
this is a good one.
This is a tip that I learned when I went through my advanced color analysis training, which people are always like, oh, I can teach myself to color analyze. Like, let me tell you, I went through like a year-long training that included an apprenticeship. It was like the real deal. There's a reason I'm an expert, right?
Yeah.
Because I worked my fanny off.
Yeah.
And this is a tip I got. So we have props here. So this is watercolor paper that you can get at any craft store or Amazon. Mm-hmm. And the tip is that you take your makeup or makeup that you're considering and you swatch it on there onto the paper. And then take your color palette. So here is Whitney's color card. And you can put the makeup against your color card and you can see right away if it works with the color card. And on first glance, I would have thought this would have been great for you. And now I'm looking at it and seeing that it has a little more gray than would be great for you. This is a color that is purpley and cool. And even though you have a little purple in there, again, this has a little more gray in it than your color has. And this color down here, this kind of corally, peachy, warm color, this would be great with your colors. It's a really easy way to line up to see if makeup works for you. I think it's so hard when you go to a drugstore or a department store and you're trying something, you just don't know. I'm telling you, put watercolor paper in your purse.
And they come in small pads. They do. Yes. This is my daughter, so we had to fold it in half because she does big things.
Yes.
But they come in small pads, and you Amazon. And what's funny is that these are Ava's lipsticks, and she is more of a muted, very cool muted, and this one was mine. So looking at it, I'm like, it really does work.
And it is amazing how quickly you can tell when you lay your color palette or your color card or whatever, you've got a color fan next to it. I teach all my clients this, and this will save you so much money in makeup because seriously, everybody's got a product graveyard of like 1,000 lipsticks that you bought and you paid $20 for and you don't wear, or every time you wear them, you're like, I look sick in this. Stop doing that.
Yeah.
Take your watercolor paper with you when you go to buy makeup, swatch it, and then you know if it works. Like this will change your life.
Yeah.
Save you so much money.
And then you're not rubbing the lipstick off and then putting on, and then your lips are red and so it's not really showing up correctly. Right.
And so this works with any color product. So I would not say this doesn't work necessarily with foundation or concealer, but for eyeshadow, lip color, cheek color, this is where it works for those really beautifully. So any of those color products, that's where you want to do that.
Yeah. Such a good tip. Because I know makeup is like one of the really hard ones. Well, and Color Guru has the little makeup cards that you can get too. And when we were putting that up to it, we were like, oh my gosh, yes. Like that's definitely... Okay. And these, not so much. Again, those are Ava's colors. So,
you can just so easily see how this is all purpley.
Yeah.
And on here, this doesn't look that cool, but when you put it up against these warm makeup colors, it's really easy to see how how discordant it is.
Yeah.
There. So, and otherwise you might think, oh, I could wear a mulberry kind of lipstick.
Yeah.
But, girlfriend, don't do it. It's not going to do you any favors.
Which again goes, and I've talked about how I thought in my head that I knew my colors, but I need to be referring back to the card.
Right.
Because you see things and you're like, oh yeah, that's in my color palette until I actually bring the card out. Like my brain is not reliable. My memory is not reliable.
Well, I mean, I think that's really normal that people you have a skewed memory.
Yeah.
And over time, you're taking all this information in, and it's very easy for it to shift.
Yeah.
So I think it's important to come back and like touch base and be like, oh, right, these are, I know the things that work for me.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Good.
Okay, we've got 4 questions that were asked in, I don't know, one of the previous 2 videos. And we're going to answer those real quick because we thought this could, and they're all related to color. You guys have a lot of questions about color. Okay, question number 1. This person's had her colors done when she was in her 30s. Now she is in her 70s. Do your colors change?
All right. The caveat is it depends on how you had your colors done. The gold standard way to have your colors done is where your undertones are looked at. So if someone did your colors in a method that looked at your overtones, your hair color, your eyebrow color, your eye color only, and did not take your undertones into account, it is possible it could change because as you age, your hair color changes, your eye color softens. And so if you're using those as your basis, yes. If you do the gold standard and have your colors done according to your undertones, that does not change. Your undertones do not change because they are biologically based. They're made up of your melanin, your keratin, and your hemoglobin. So those colors don't change. So if you had it done in an advanced color analysis done by someone who was trained, should not change.
Yeah.
It should be a one and done for the rest of your life.
Yeah. That is a great answer. Because the next question is, does going gray change your color?
It should not if you had your colors done using your undertones. If it was done using your overtones, then it will change.
Yeah. Oh, that's very interesting.
Color's so fascinating.
It is so, I find it so fascinating. Yes. It's the art behind it. It's the all the rules of art that kind of are behind it that I find fascinating.
Well, and also it's art and it's science. It's color theory and color science. I think that's why it's so complicated and so endlessly fascinating.
Yeah, absolutely. I find it, and you guys know that I find it so fascinating. Okay, what happens if I'm not drawn to the colors in my color palette? And this lady had said that I think she got typed as muted, cool colors, but she was drawn to bright and vibrant colors.
I have not had this happen. I've only ever had someone walk out of my color analysis and be like, And then a week later, after she'd sort of been living in her colors and living with them, she was like, you know what, you're right. These do work better with my skin. So I'll go back to what I said about turquoise before. If you love turquoise, but it does not work with your skin tone, make a pillow out of it so that you can look at it, but you're not wearing it on your body. Now, at the end of the day, if you love something, wear it. If you love hot pink and it's not on your color palette, just forget it. Just wear it. But if your goal is that you are trying to create this coherent, cohesive look for yourself, then, and if your color analysis was done correctly, I will say that if it was done by someone who was trained correctly, then I think really over time it will feel right, because go back to what we talked about before when we talked about color. The eye and the brain are always seeking balance. And so when a color is out of balance with your skin tone, then your brain picks that up and it creates this dissonance. And you may not understand that it's the color creating the dissonance, but you know that something's not quite right. And so if you're always living in that dissonance, you're always going to feel a little twitchy, I think. Where if once you're living in your color palette, then it all feels very calm. It feels very cohesive. It feels like a complete picture. So, the question is like, what is it about the color what is it about the colors that you're not drawn to? Are you not drawn to it because you don't love it, the colors on your palette, or is it because you feel like they don't look good on your skin tone? Because that is the goal with color analysis, is to find that color palette that works with your skin tone.
Yeah.
And so if the colors on your palette you feel like don't work with your skin tone, that's a problem.
Yeah.
As opposed to they're just not colors you love. Well, then the question becomes like, what's your goal? Is your goal to create this cohesive, balanced picture? Or is your goal to wear just colors that make you happy?
Yeah.
And then you can choose to work to follow the advice you got in your color analysis or not. That's a personal choice.
Yeah.
And it's not right or wrong.
Right.
You get to do what you want to do. You're
Absolutely
a grown human being.
So that's the last question was, how do I determine colors myself just by liking? So what would be that answer?
I think it's really, really hard to determine your color palette yourself.
If you're going for, I want a color palette that looks good on me.
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah.
It takes a trained eye. It takes the right lighting. It takes the right tools. Honestly, I can't just look at somebody and tell you what their color palette is. I really have to go through the process.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to just know a color palette that you love and wear what you love, then do that. Pick your color palette that you love and go with it. Or don't pick a color palette, just wear the whole rainbow. Like, who cares? But I think it matters what your goal is. If you're trying to find those colors that look best for you, your time and your money are well spent to go to an expert and have your colors done.
Yeah. And don't rely on the apps.
No.
Have you seen those color apps?
I do. I have. I do not think they work well. And yeah, I don't. I think that's a waste of your money. And I cannot tell you how many people have come to me that have had that done, or had a friend do their colors, and then they're like, oh, but it never really felt right. And then they come to me and they're like, oh, this feels right. I'm like, well, there's a reason. You know,
a year of study. There we go.
Exactly. Like, yeah, So I think it matters, and you are the only person who can determine what your goal is and what you want to get out of color analysis. So I think start there.
Yeah. Oh, this is all great. This is all great. So those were some questions that we had come in on some of the earlier videos. So again, if you have questions for Stephanie, pop them down below. If you don't see them, I can send them to her. Because we do check those comments quite regularly.
Yes.
But thank you.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for coming on. This is, I don't know, I think I've been reminded on some things that, again, that maybe I had forgotten or gotten away from with kind of this, my own little style journey that I'm taking this year. Yeah. And I don't think it's a big leap. I don't think my style needs to change a ton. It's little tweaking, which I think a lot of us are probably in that boat. I don't need an overhaul. I just need a little bit of tweaking as I go.
I think you said something very important, is you were reminded of some things you already knew.
Yeah.
Often on style journeys, people just need almost a human mirror. They need someone to say, yeah, this is good. You're on the right path. Let's shake it up just a little. You just need a little check-in.
Yeah.
And I think that little, it's almost like taking your car in for a tune-up.
Yeah.
You just need a little tune-up, and then you're good to go for another 5,000 miles.
Yeah. Yeah. And then go back in and try a new trend. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. Keeping things fresh. Keeping it fun.
Absolutely. Get out there and try things and be bold.
I love that. Absolutely love that.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thank you for coming on again.
Thank you. Such a pleasure.
Yes. Thank you all for tuning in and watching. I hope you guys get some sewing in, start exploring your own style, maybe make a pattern silhouette that you've not made before, trying a different color than you have before, and just having fun, not only with style, but also your sewing.
Yes.
All right, guys, have a good week. I will see you next time. Bye.